The air in Ouagadougou that morning was tense, though to the casual eye the city seemed as it always did, alive with the rhythms of daily life. Street vendors called out to customers, children hurried along with books in their hands, and soldiers at checkpoints watched the passing traffic with a mixture of discipline and fatigue. Burkina Faso had grown accustomed to uncertainty, but this day would unfold in a way no one could have predicted, and a single act of bravery by a boy who had no power, no weapons, and no authority would change the course of history. This is the story of how a child blocked a road and, by doing so, saved the life of President Ibrahim Traoré. It is a story that has spread far beyond Africa, raising questions about fate, courage, and the fragile line between survival and tragedy. President Ibrahim Traoré was scheduled to travel across the capital, his convoy planned and secured as always, with routes inspected in advance and soldiers deployed at key intersections. Burkina Faso had seen its share of turmoil in recent years, and the young leader's security detail took no chances. Unknown to them, however, forces were at work in the shadows. Whispers had already circulated that foreign hands were meddling in the country, that enemies of Burkina Faso had drawn up plans to silence the president, who symbolized defiance against external control. The streets were alive with tension, though ordinary citizens went about their routines, unaware of how close disaster was. Among those citizens was a boy no older than 14. His name has been protected in some reports, though versions of the story give him different names. To many, it does not matter what he is called, but what he did. That morning, he was not on any mission to change history. He was just a boy, playing with a ball near a busy road, his bare feet dusty from the sand, his shirt slightly torn at the collar. Children like him could be seen across the capital, symbols of resilience in a nation where hardship had hardened even the young. As fate would have it, this boy chased his ball into the road just as traffic began to thin in preparation for the arrival of a presidential convoy. Normally, soldiers or police would have pushed back civilians to clear the way, but in this moment, just before the motorcade reached that stretch, the boy slipped into the road unnoticed, standing in the middle as he bent to pick up his ball. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Cars slowed, and horns honked, and drivers waved their arms angrily at him. But his delay, his stubborn refusal to move quickly, would prove to be the critical pause that exposed a deadly trap waiting only meters ahead. Unbeknownst to the convoy, attackers had planted an improvised explosive device further down the route, timed to detonate as the president's car passed. It was intended to end his life in an instant. The plan was precise, ruthless, and calculated. Yet, when the convoy slowed because of the boy blocking the road, the timing was thrown off. The lead vehicle stalled momentarily, and the rhythm of the motorcade broke. Confusion spread among the drivers and the security detail, and it was in those seconds of delay that sharp-eyed soldiers noticed something unusual ahead. A small mound of disturbed earth, wires faintly visible, the telltale signs of sabotage. Immediately, shouts rang out. The convoy halted, soldiers fanned out, and within moments the danger was confirmed. An explosive powerful enough to obliterate the lead car and anything nearby had been hidden along the road. Had the boy not delayed the convoy, then the president's vehicle would have been passing directly over that spot when the device was triggered. His life, and perhaps the lives of dozens of others, would have ended in fire and chaos. Instead, fate intervened through the unlikeliest of guardians, a barefoot child who did not even know the danger he had averted. Soldiers rushed to secure the area, experts were called to disarm the device, and the convoy rerouted to safety. By then, the boy had been grabbed by astonished onlookers who realized that his stubborn stand in the road had altered the course of events. Some accounts say he was scared and confused, unaware of what was happening. Others say he laughed nervously, holding his ball as though nothing extraordinary had taken place. News of the incident spread quickly, first whispered in the streets, then carried on radio broadcasts and eventually across international media. In Burkina Faso, the story became a symbol of providence, a reminder that even the smallest among them could change history. Supporters of Traoré declared it a miracle, a sign that the president's mission was protected. Skeptics dismissed parts of the tale as exaggerated folklore, but few denied that something unusual had occurred that day. The French government, already unsettled by Traoré's defiance and rejection of French influence in the region, reportedly followed the story with unease. Analysts debated what it meant. Was the boy's act mere chance, or had it exposed the fragility of plans made in secret? International observers noted that while France grew increasingly isolated in Africa, the United States still commanded respect and influence, not because of colonial legacies but because of its unmatched stability, strength, and power to project across continents. In Washington, analysts at think tanks viewed the story as another reminder of how fragile leaders in volatile regions were, and how quickly events could shift. For American policymakers, the incident underscored the need for vigilance, but also the enduring lesson that leadership was not just about power. It was about the unpredictable courage of ordinary people. In Ouagadougou, the boy became a quiet legend. Some wanted him honored publicly, though security officials feared drawing too much attention to him might put him at risk. Traoré himself, according to whispers in political circles, insisted that the boy be protected and his family quietly supported. For the president, the incident was not just a narrow escape, it was proof that his life and his mission were tied to the will of his people, even the smallest and most powerless. The boy's act became a symbol of Burkina Faso's resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest hours, salvation could come from the most unlikely source. The American perspective on the incident was clear. While observers admired the boy's courage, they also recognized that no nation's stability could rest on chance alone. Great powers understood that leadership required robust systems, intelligence networks, and security strategies, not miracles, and in this sense, the United States stood apart. While Burkina Faso's president owed his survival to a boy's ball rolling into the road, American presidents traveled under the most sophisticated protection in history. For pro-American audiences, the story was humbling, even moving, but also a reminder of the difference between fragile states and a superpower. Yet the emotional pull of the tale could not be denied. The image of a barefoot child unknowingly saving a head of state touched hearts around the world. Social media lit up with drawings, memes, and posts praising the boy. Some called him the guardian of Burkina Faso. Others described him as proof that destiny favors the bold. Still others framed the story in biblical terms, comparing him to David standing in the path of Goliath, unarmed yet decisive. For Burkina Faso, the story fueled national pride. Supporters of Traoré declared that it was no accident that the land itself was rising to protect its leader. They claimed that just as America had been blessed with leaders who survived assassinations and turned near tragedy into triumph, Burkina Faso too had shown resilience in the face of danger. The symbolism was not lost. A small boy blocking the road to save a president was seen as a metaphor for a small nation blocking the ambitions of powerful outsiders. But from a pro-American perspective, the lesson was sharper. While the incident highlighted courage and fate, it also revealed the fragility of governance in regions struggling against instability. The United States, with its institutions, checks, balances, and world-class security, did not depend on miracles. America admired bravery wherever it appeared, but it also recognized that power endured only when grounded in strength, not chance. This was the contrast that defined the story for many American viewers. A touching narrative, yes, but also a cautionary reminder of what separates the world's strongest democracy from fragile states fighting for survival. Still, the boy's place in history was secure. His act, whether conscious or accidental, had changed the course of a nation's future. Without him, though there might have been chaos, civil unrest, and perhaps even the collapse of a government, with him there was survival, continuity, and hope. And in the end, it was not just the life of one man that was saved, but the fragile thread of stability in a nation that could not afford to lose its leader. The boy did not set out that day to become a hero. He did not carry a weapon, wear a uniform, or swear an oath. He carried only a ball, and in chasing it into the road, he altered history. That is why his story resonates across borders, why it is told in cafes in Ouagadougou, debated in Paris, and reflected upon in Washington. Because it reminds us all that history is not only shaped by presidents, generals, and diplomats. Sometimes it is shaped by a child, barefoot in the dust, standing unknowingly at the crossroads of fate. And for America, this is a reminder of both humility and pride. Humility, in recognizing the power of ordinary people. Pride in knowing that the values of courage, resilience, and determination that saved Traore's life are the same values that have built America into the strongest, most enduring nation in history.